Bonjour, je m'appelle Mariana Gutierrez, and I'm going to present my French author named Michel Tremblay. Michel Tremblay is a French-Canadian novelist. He was born in Canada in the city of Montreal, Quebec, on June 25 of 1942. He wrote his first play in 1959 called Le Train. His second play was on 1965 called Le Vol Sur, and that one established Tremblay as one of the most important artists of the latest half of the 20th century in Quebec. A fun fact about Tremblay is that he received a grant from the Canada Council. With that grant, he went to Mexico, where he wrote a fantasy novel called La Cité dans l'Oeuvre. Also, during that trip, he wrote his first gay work named La Douche de Lingoux. I choose this play because the title grabbed my attention. At the beginning, I thought it was a romantic novel or a romantic play, but it turns out to be the whole opposite thing. The name of the novel is A toi pour toujours, ta Marie Lou. See, it kind of looks like romantic. But this is a long one, dramatic act. It tells a story about two daughters that came back to their childhood house to remember their parents who were unhappily married. The key to this play is that there are only 4 characters. It's Marie-Louise, Leopold, Carmen, and Manon. These two are siblings, and their daughters from this couple, which are the unhappily marriage. While you're reading this story, you think that the 4 of them are talking to them. They're talking to each other, but no. Here's a trick. Each conversation is based on with a 10-year apart difference. Meanwhile, Marie-Louise and Leopold they're talking in 1960s. Carmen and Manon are talking in the 1970s. They're talking about their life, about what happened after they get out of that house, and a lot of stuff. But at the beginning, you feel like all the negative emotions, and it wasn't like all blooming or cheesy. Because the title says like forever years, you know. So it all is based on the relationship of their parents. They treat each other awfully, and they weren't in love. Marie-Louise turns to religion, and Leopold turns to drinking and the television. That's their main problems. Because one is like an extremist religious person, and the other one is just a reckless man that thinks that he can do whatever he wants with his wife because they're married. So each character like complains about each other the whole play. But the trick here is that Manon was traumatized by his dad when she was like 14 years old, because she saw when his dad was raping his mother. So I mean, what can you do when you see your dad raping your mom, you know? So she felt traumatized, and she began to hate his dad, and the thing that she hated the most was that she was like she was just his dad, but in a female version, you know. He, like, his grandparents, his mom, his sister, his brother, they always say to her that she resembles, like, she looks a lot like him. So she hated him, and every time that like somebody told her like, "Oh, you look a lot like your dad," she was just increase her hate for him. So, with that being said, when the daughters are older, they have trouble sharing like their emotions, because it was a repressive home, it was an abusive home, that everyone felt horrified in that home. So, almost to the end, it was suggesting that Leopold wanted to kill his wife, Mary Louise, with two of their sons. Roger, who was already he was already older a little bit. He was like 8 years old, I think. And the one that Mary Louise was carrying. But she didn't want it. He didn't want it. But because she was a religious person, she wanted to keep it, because she thought that if she get rid of him, it would be like a sin. And Leopold was like, hell no, like, I'm gonna kill you. So, Carmen and Manon were really traumatized, because they were hearing everything. They were hearing that his dad wanted to kill his brothers and his mom, because he was just like done with her and that stuff. We jump to a radical point of view. So all the play was Manon criticized his dad, and Carmen backing him up and saying that the mom was the crazy one. The mom was the one who always started the fight and stuff. But at the beginning of the play, I was 100% Manon team, because I thought she was the one who was like intelligent, smart enough. But it results that Carmen was the one. Cause if you analyze this, it's like all the extremists are horrible. The hate in extremists, bad. A religious person, like a devoted one, like, oh my god, that's also extremist thing. And also a guy who turns to the alcohol and the violence and the drinking and everything just to get rid of his problems, that's an extremist point that no one ever can reach. So Carmen, because they died. So Carmen, after their parents died, she finally felt free to be herself, because she was afraid to do whatever. She's now a country singer. She now go to the clubs. She now go out and stuff. While Manon, she got traumatized about his father, and she put her mom in a throne, thinking she was the best, but it's not. So Manon is now turning into the extremist religious person. It's evident that the four of them were like lacking of love, lacking of a family to turn to, And also, like, the two girls, they have clearly just gone into opposite directions because of their traumas when they were a child. And I don't know if I explained it correctly, but I do like it. To be honest, I love it. I was shook. I was shocked when I was finally reading the piece. So yeah, my favorite character was Carmen because she chose to be herself, to be happy, and to be free. Finalized, his impact in the society was that all his most famous plays are usually centered on homosexual characters that sympathize with, like, that whole target audience. Also, the women are usually so strong, but they're possessed with demons they must vanquish. Like in the novel that I just read, the three girls, the mother and the two daughters, they just have their own demons that they needed to vanquish. Also, he says, like, Quebec is a matriarchal society, and Tremblay's inspiration to write his novel comes from his childhood and life experiences. Him as a homosexual portrays a realistic and honest situation of the difficulties and issues that homosexuals face every day. So I think this is a clever point that he reached to that community, and that's why he make a great impact in today's society. So thank you, merci Sam, bonjour, have a great summer, and thank you for everything.